Holy shit! What the hell's happening?
Hey guys, what is going on? Chris here with Shughead Gaming. It's been a while, hey? But now I'm back and I'm excited to bring you my review for Contagion VR Outbreak, developed by Monochrome Inc. Contagion releases on PSVR, Index, Vive, Rift, and Windows Mixed Reality, but as always, this review will be on a PSVR version and reviewed on the PS4 Pro. Contagion VR Outbreak releases this November 12th, 2019. The game will retail for an estimated price of $25, but of course that depends on your region. Contagion VR Outbreak is a first-person shooter built from the ground up exclusively for VR. One of the most anticipated games for PSVR, and once thought to be vaporware, Contagion VR Outbreak is finally here, but does it deliver the zombie-killing goods? Let's find out. As always guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing, and for video updates, hit that bell icon. Let's kick things off with a look at graphics. Early gameplay videos of Contagion looked awesome, coming off super polished and dripping with atmosphere, but it also looked to me too good to be true, and well, it is. Playing on a Pro, the visuals aren't a raging dumpster fire, as the textures are relatively free of aliasing issues when in buildings, and only slightly worse when outside. The world one taken as a whole is not bad, with some great draw distance at times and excellent execution of the sniper scope. Unfortunately, it is also littered with incredibly blurry, repetitive, and uninspired texture work on pretty much everything outside of some hit or miss textures indoors, and the gun models, which are actually pretty damn good. This when combined with the lifeless game world and wonky scale issues, and Contagion starts to feel more like an early access version of Arizona Sunshine instead of the next step up from it. Appropriate then that Contagion VR Outbreak is in fact in early access on Steam, with Sony doing a real disservice to patrons and developers by not communicating this properly to us so people can approach a game with more realistic expectations. Character models are at times laughable, with cerebral palsy-like animations and a severely lacking zombie damage model. Not surprisingly then that lighting effects are also at a minimum, which unfortunately only reinforces the generic quality of what's in front of you. Comparisons to Arizona Sunshine are unavoidable and very reasonable, as Contagion VR Outbreak very obviously wants to play in that playground. Unfortunately, after just having played the recently released Arizona Sunshine DLC, The Damned, it's impossible to not see how much more polished of an experience Arizona has become, and as a result, sorely highlighting how far Contagion still has to go. Sound is up next.
Oh no, there's more of them coming.
Stay behind me!
Well, let's start with the good. The gun sounds are shockingly really decent here in Contagion, easily besting its zombie competition and many other gun games on the PSVR. Guns sound authentic and punchy, with the latter being a real deal breaker for me. And yep, we're done with the good. Turning to the cons, we are greeted with forgettable music, generic world and zombie sounds, a lack of spatial audio, and atrocious voice work, literally sounding like the dev team simply grabbed people in the hall to quickly read lines on napkins. Unfortunately, there is also a decent amount of exposition told from your character, so enjoy that. All in all, not even the early access excuse can forgive some of the missteps on the audio side, but hey, the gun sounds rock. And that brings us to gameplay. As I already stated, Contagion VR Outbreak is still in early access on PC, and literally still in development. In fact, while Sony could have and should have mentioned it in the PSN store, the devs, to their credit, couldn't have made it any clearer once you jump into the game. As such, the 3-mission campaign clocks in at around 3 hours, and is a bit of a letdown. The package here is inflated somewhat with a half-decent gun rage, complete with gun trials. It's no Gun Club VR, but it did remind me of it. But more on gunplay in a bit. In addition to the gun range, we also get a free roam mode, essentially a horde mode without waves that has you running around one of the 3 campaign levels and shooting zombies. This could have been fun. It should have been fun, but it's not. Instead, it comes off slow, empty, and simply dull. Each mission is a standalone mini-story comprised of a few chapters, and I use the term story very loosely. Each mission, well, yes, adding some nice location diversity, simply feels disjointed, generic, and ultimately very forgettable. Breaking up the shooting, levels throw the odd puzzle or make work task like grabbing parts to a bus. Unfortunately, these do nothing for the fun factor and in fact drag the levels down to a point of being tedious. Ultimately, unless it's implemented well, in a game about killing zombies, that's really all I want to do, so anything preventing that just feels like the game is padding its length. It is then unfortunate that shooting zombies in Contagion Outbreak just isn't really that good. Now don't get me wrong, shooting a zombie in the face will never not be fun, but Arizona Sunshine and Killing Floor Incursion just do it so much better. The main issue here is that the zombie models and the way they show impact and damage is simply just not very satisfying, often going as far to have me wonder if I actually even hit one. Yes, heads do pop off, but that's really about all. Adding to the lack of excitement throughout Contagion is the sheer lack of zombie numbers, resulting in a lack of any tension or challenge. Zombies can be run by with ease as you run around completing your objectives. Unfortunately, this lack of intensity ends up being a good thing due to the cumbersome combat and inventory mechanics. Immersion is always good, but storing weapons on my chest along with multiple ammo types that must be manually loaded while handing two-handed weapons and a flashlight and trying to run, turn, and pick up things as hard as it sounds with the moves and their lack of analog support. On top of this, if you want to heal, you literally have to pull a backpack out in front of you, grab the meds, and bring them to your mouth. The inclusion of 3D rudder support greatly helped alleviate some of these control clutter issues by taking over all the movement functions, and in addition allowing for control of movement speed. Unfortunately, reaching down to pick items up while using the rudder was pretty awkward, so it's not without its issues either. Like I said, I love when developers fully utilize hand controls, but the execution here ultimately led to dropping items and awkward combat. Jumping into both Arizona Sunshine and Killing Floor Incursion for a refresher of how they handled these same aspects, it really helped me appreciate both games and their very forgiving tether grab functions, along with side and back placements for weapons. In addition, they also both opted for auto reload mechanics, likely realizing it was simply too many buttons to push at once while maintaining fluid combat. Melee combat is just not fun or satisfying at all, degrading into just swinging until the zombies fall. Now on the plus side, handling of the guns is actually really well done, offering up some of the best two-handed weapon mechanics I've ever experienced on the PSVR. Tracking was shockingly on point, allowing for quick reloads and easy gun handling, even when bringing scopes or sights up to your head. I just wish this gunplay was in a different game. Finally, to top things off, the game, even after some patches, remains in a general state of bugginess, coming off just unfinished, and going as far as to have me recalibrate my height every time I loaded into a level. And that's if I even loaded into the actual level. Contagion VR Outbreak requires the use of 2 move controllers with optional 3D rudder support, but no aim support as of yet. It can be played seated or standing, with standing being recommended for better access to all your gear. A moderate amount of space is recommended, and motion comfort was decent, but for those who need it, there are of course some comfort options available. And finally, that brings us to fun factor and my final review. With a 4th level being added and the promise of continued improvement, Contagion VR Outbreak is a game that simply needs more development time. Everything from the visuals and sounds to core gameplay mechanics simply need a lot of work to even bring this game within spitting distance of its competition. As you know, I hate number ratings and instead rate games on a basis of buy, wait for a sale, or burn it to the ground. Contagion VR Outbreak is not without some fun gameplay here and there, but the game as a whole just wasn't very enjoyable. This is a wait for a sale, or at least wait until it has more time to improve and add content. Instead, make sure you go grab the damned DLC for Arizona Sunshine, which is out now, or you could just wait for Survios to release The Walking Dead Onslaught in early 2020. Anyways guys, that's it for me. I'm super psyched to be back to making content, so expect some backlog reviews as I catch up on past releases over the last 2 months. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you guys on my next video.